All right. Hello, everybody. It is May 24th here. One more day till the big EU Armageddon comes down upon all of us. I don't know if you guys have heard about all of that stuff yet or been up to date on it, but tomorrow is the magical day. Um, I don't think I would get, all in a ruffle over it. They're not going to send the data police out and start arresting people just yet. So uh, I talked to Chip Cooper. He's our internet attorney, and he basically said, they're not going to come out of the gate shooting. You're going to have some time to get things in order, and basically the deal with it is they're just looking for compliance, and basically it's all about privacy, and the U.S. treats privacy as a commodity, and in the EU they treat it as human rights. So we've got a fundamental differentiation going on here, and they're just trying to raise our standards on this whole thing. So they're making the big companies comply, and it's going to trickle down. But us as the little guys, as long as we start moving in the right direction, I do recommend, though, that regardless of whether you guys plan on complying with the EU regulations, I do definitely recommend that you comply with the FTC regulations, because that's a serious deal. You are here in the US and they govern this, and they're very serious. And it's like it's a very unfair deal too. If they come after you, and first of all, let me just tell you why they might come after you. One of the biggest things that will put them on your radar is getting a complaint. If you get a complaint, you get on their radar and they start looking into you, then you got problems, because it's not like regular law in the US. It's like a kangaroo court. If you're on the radar, you're basically guilty, and it's up to you to prove your innocence. And it's just not cool. It's not a cool deal at all. So anybody here, I would definitely recommend that you make sure that you've got the right privacy policies in place on your websites, that you've got terms and conditions, and that you're being upfront with everybody. I see this a lot. The whole internet marketing community in general, years and years ago, they got this idea that they could go online and do business and hide their identity and all that. And the credit card processors never went for it. One of the things, that they required for you to get a credit card merchant account was to publicly have your contact information on the website. Not just your name and your email, but your physical address to show people where you were physically. And the whole internet marketing world, they didn't like that. They wanted to be anonymous. They didn't want anybody coming after them. They didn't want to talk to anybody. They just wanted to make money. and so make sure that you've got your privacy policies in place, because if the FTC sees stuff like that, all they see is scam artists. And believe me, if they come after you, if they identify you as a scam artist, you're going to have some serious issues. They go after everything. Chip Cooper and Alan Cutts, they run FTC Guardian, and they do these hangouts, and they actually make a point to show you people that have been taken down by the FTC and what they actually did to them. And it's just horrific. So I really do encourage you guys to to take advantage of that, and take them up on their offer and let them do all your privacy documents and all your terms and conditions documents and all that, so you're compliant. I've been with them for several years. I took the easy road. I actually listened to Armin Marin and Frank Kern many years ago, and it bought me some trouble. They said just go out and grab the policies off anybody's site, put your name in there, put your address, and you're good to go. Well, I did that, and After a while, I got this nice letter from this attorney in Florida suing me for using his documents. And he wanted like $7,500. And basically, you know, I think it was a scam. I think it was an internet marketing scam to begin with. I think he had those guys tell everybody to go put them on their sites so he could go after them. and if you do that, you know, if you copy other people's stuff, there's a lot of different things online now to make it really easy to find that stuff. So be careful of that. You don't want some joker attorney on the other end of the country sending you, you know, lawsuit notices. It's just not necessary. So anyway, that's why I've been with them for the last several years, and I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. So they've got that deal because of the GDPR thing. They've actually cut the price back in half. It's half of what I actually paid for it for a lifetime thing, which I think they're like $4.97 now for a lifetime deal. And I've got that link on the site. If you guys want it, it's internetdominators.com/FTC. Made it real easy. That will send you through, and you can get that same deal if you're interested in it. If you guys have any questions or anything, just go ahead and unmute anytime, and I'm happy to take questions on anything. Go ahead, Gregory.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, and good morning to the crew. My thing was, when this thing popped up on the radar yesterday, I said, wow, this is a great way of making, I have 1,000+ business cards. I don't throw business cards away. So my program idea was this. Scan the card, of course, when I send the email to show them I have their card as a legitimate connection that I met them. Then let them know about this GDPR thing, and then link them to you. What's your opinion on that, please?
Well, you've got to do more than that. You got to have a reason to link them and make a recommendation. So you need to come up. And again, this comes back to ACT and the whole big idea. If you guys are going to send emails out to your list, make sure you don't waste that opportunity, because people will only look at your emails so many times. So if you have a list and you know you're sending out to that list on a regular basis, they kind of get blind to it. That's why I don't send to my lists a lot. You know, you guys get the weekly call reminders, yes, but those are different. You know, you see that and it's just a reminder. You don't actually have to read it unless you want to get on and you need the link and it's right there. I make it real easy. But when I send out actual marketing emails, I don't do them a lot. So I make sure that everyone I do has high impact. So make sure there's a big idea tied to it, and make sure it's of value. You know, when you provide good value, don't always send out something that, you know, it's every time they see an email from you, they're like, oh, what am I going to have to buy today? Send them value. You know,
I'm actually on the opposite side of the spectrum. I've very seldom contacted any of these people. I got the business card to follow up on something, but things fall through the cracks, or whatever idea I had to get them never happened. So I don't like contacting people unless I have a real purpose.
Sure, absolutely.
Two, the majority of these people haven't heard from me since the day I got their card.
Yeah, I like the idea though of scanning the card so they see that, you know, they gave you a card. That's a really cool idea. I like that. And that actually is in line with the compliancy thing with the GDPR, because one of the things that you have to be able to prove, you have to have documentation moving on now to prove where they consented for you to communicate with them. So if you actually have their business card and that's documented, that's beautiful. That is absolutely awesome.
And then on the tail end of that email, I was going to say, if you don't want me to contact you again, please let me know, and then I'll just remove them from my collection.
Yeah, that's another thing that comes into play with that whole new regulation is you have to always provide a way for them to access and edit their data. So they have to be able to access their data and see the entire history of their data, you know, like when they signed up. And a lot of the big places, they're they've already got that in. Like I was looking at Kartra specifically, like oh my God, you know, I'm moved on to Kartra now. Are they gonna, you know, provide this? And they do. In Kartra, they've got full mail logs of every communication, every opt-in, everything. So I'm like, okay, that's good. So good stuff. But yeah, you know, anything that you guys are doing, make sure it's attached to a marketing idea. Go ahead, Eldana.
All right. So this is what I do when I speak. It's a little form that they hand fill out, and I keep them. It's like a contract. It says, please include your email address if you would like to get our, you know, 52 tips and, you know, e-zine, monthly e-zine or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
So, you know, obviously I don't have an opt-in on my new site anymore. I have 52negotiatortips.com that people can opt in. But this is something that somebody shared with me a long time ago. And I tested doing it this way and having them go to a site called eldana.rocks, which I need to uncheck the things. There's a couple automatic check boxes on there.
Yeah.
But this works better. And this is like a contract. I'm just thinking like a negotiator from a contract perspective. So I keep them. I have all of these. And if someone, you know, complains, oh, I never signed up for this list. Is this your handwriting?
That's really cool. And, you know, I've noticed that too. I go to a lot of events, and it is crazy how hard it is to get people to opt in through an electronic form at an event. It's like, really? How hard is this? You all have cell phones now. They all have internet access.
Yeah. But people don't want to do that. I tested it. Like I tested it a couple of times, and people don't want to do that during an event because they're there listening to you. They don't want to be like, what? I get what? No, I'll do this later. And they put it down. And I saw where some people came in, but I get more of these than anything else, and it also helps protect me. But I have, you know, I have a question about Kartra. You've been talking about that, and I don't know anything about it. I'm on Infusionsoft right now, and I'm kind of interested to know the differences.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, Kartra is what Kartra is what Infusionsoft wanted to be. That's what I'm calling it. Infusionsoft, you know, it's a great program. It does a lot of really cool stuff, but it's very difficult to operate. No matter what anybody says, I haven't seen anybody yet that without real high-end technical skills is able to actually get in and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I have somebody else doing it, and it's like confusing as heck for me still.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is it's not an all-inclusive program. It doesn't have everything built into it, so you wind up buying these modules and having to connect stuff, and you know, it's just like the whole the ClickFunnels thing. ClickFunnels, they actually made it easy to build the pages and do all the front end stuff. They did a really good job of making that easy, which Infusionsoft did not. And the problem with ClickFunnels is just a one thing, and you have to have all these other things attached to it, and you got to configure all that stuff. And again, it winds up being very technical by the time you're done.
Yeah, and their whole because I actually did like a little trial with ClickFunnels, but then that whole whatever their email system was all hinky and such. Yeah. Well, so Kartra, how can I like kind of explore what that includes?
Kartra, if you go to internetdominators.com/Kartra, Kartra, they've got a really good intro video that kind of walks you through everything that it does. And it's Andy Jenkins is doing the video, and he's a great presenter. He's a great teacher on video, and he's phenomenal at video. So it's very entertaining. And they've really done a fantastic job of putting everything that is needed into one package. and it winds up saving you a ton of money.
Yeah, because I'm spending a boatload on Confusionsoft, and then I have I've got lead pages, and I've got other things that you have to connect to that. It's just like,
yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and there's got to be a better solution, and I'm just yeah, I'm
you know, a lot of people think that I'm a real high-tech guy, and I'm really not. You know, yeah, I've built a boatload of websites for companies, but I've always used programs where I didn't have to I didn't have to be technical. You know, I used for years, I used NetObject Fusion, which is a drag and drop, point and click. You can build anything you want. Problem with it now is it's out of date and they're not updating it. So it's not mobile. It doesn't have any of the new stuff that you need. So I was kind of out of luck at that point. I'm like, uh-oh, my tech luck has run its course here. And then Kartra showed up, and I'm like, oh man, I'm back in business now. I was able, just to give you an idea, I was spending, I host a lot of videos. I was hosting them on Wistia, paying about $150 a month to Wistia. I was paying $100 a month to ClickFunnels, paying, you know, for all these other things. And when I got into Kartra, I'm like, oh my God, I can cancel all that stuff. So I'm paying $149. The level I'm on in Kartra, I'm at $149, and I was able to cut out about at least $300 a month of stuff I don't need anymore.
Well, that'd be great, because I'm like $300 a month for Infusionsoft alone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kartra, you can start at, I think it's $89 a month where it starts. They've got a deal going on right now where if you buy in now and they're kind of like their launch mode, you can get 25% locked in, but it doesn't apply to the bottom one. So if you get the bottom one and you decide to go up, you don't get the discount locked in.
Yeah.
That's why I went with the second one, which was, it was $149. And that's probably going to last me a very long time. I doubt I'll ever need anything more than that.
Okay, I'll check into that.
So yeah,
post the link for everybody here.
And yeah, I'll post the link in there. It's internetdominators.com/Kartra. I'll put it in there for you.
And just real quick while John talks it up, what I found with when we do live events, what works really neat and people actually are engaged is having them subscribe to an SMS text message code. So we give them a short code, tell them text, you know, whatever the word is to this 5-digit number. And a lot of folks will do that because it takes them a couple seconds, and then they can go ahead and receive an automated link with whatever it is that we're giving them to download, or now they're subscribed to our text blast list.
Yeah, that's another cool thing with Kartra is it will do that as well. It does the SMS texting. And what I'm going to be doing for all of you guys that do get Kartra, I'm going to be doing another call just like this. I don't know if I'm going to do it every week, but probably at least every other week, where I will actually help you get Kartra set up. Because I've been through like everything. What Andy says, he describes it as when you open it up, it looks kind of simple, and then you start clicking on stuff, and it's kind of like one of those Chinese nesting dolls, you know, where you open one tab and then there's another tab and another tab. So it can look a little overwhelming, but it really isn't. Yeah, there's a lot of nested you know, tabs and stuff that you got to configure and go through, but it's all really basic stuff, and I can help you guys. Like if you're trying to figure out how to do something, I've already done it. So I can just say, hey, do this, this, and this, and I can make it really easy for you. But it's
got a membership site?
They do. It does membership sites. It does help desks. I mean, all the stuff you're paying for, it does.
I'm paying for a membership site that I didn't continue because it was like, I'm like, gosh, I got to pay for this. I got to pay for that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it does the membership site. I've actually recreated my entire ACT membership site within it. In fact, Eldana, you're one of the first ones that actually signed up under my new system that is in Kartra. So when you log in to look at the ACT program, that is the Kartra membership that you're looking at. So you can
Yeah,
check
cool.
it out. And it was so easy to build. It was easier to build than my other membership site that I've been running since 2008.
Under that second level, John, you get unlimited membership sites.
Yeah. Yeah, you can set up as many of them as you want. You can, with the membership sites, they also have an affiliate thing built right in. So you have an automatic affiliate program. And I mean, it is phenomenal what you get inside Kartra. I don't do backflips over most anybody else's products generally, but I'm doing it on this one because it really is that good.
Just really quick, that second level, just so folks know, you get contacts up to 12,500 contacts in your database. You get to send up to 125,000 emails. You get to create unlimited pages. You get unlimited products. You have the help desk portals. You have unlimited help desk portals. You get to put it up or customize it on 3 different domains. Dynamic follow-up sequences unlimited. Bandwidth per month is 125. Page visits unlimited. Automations unlimited, and unlimited membership sites.
Yeah, the other thing about it, like Mark said there, you can do 3 different websites, and that basically means they'll host your website for you too for that price. So you could literally knock off your hosting cost. You knock off your video hosting, your website hosting. It's really phenomenal what they've done. And the other thing too, I didn't mention this. A lot of you want to build marketing campaigns and funnels, and they've got a few of them that are already pre-built inside there as templates that you can just click. They have a done for you tab, and these are pretty advanced funnels. They've got advanced follow-up automation. And to give you an idea, like this was the whole idea behind Infusionsoft, was to automate your marketing. And the way that they put that across is you would be able to follow up based on user interaction. And yes, Infusionsoft does have that ability, but can you figure out how to make it work? That's the big question. Most of us can't. So inside of Kartra, it's really easy. I mean, you click the automations button and you basically have drop-down lists of what do you want to do. Like if somebody opens your email and they watch your video that is in the email and they watch it to completion, then you can move them off of that sequence and move them into another sequence just by clicking a couple drop-down buttons, or drop-down menus rather. So that's how easy it is. You know, yeah, you've got to set up a lot of stuff to be able to do that. You know, you've got to have those lists in place. But here's the other thing. In Kartra, what I've found to be incredibly user-friendly is the fact that you can create tags, you can create sequences, you can create any of that stuff on the fly without having to go back and stop what you're doing and go back and make a tag. You can do it right there. There's a tag builder inside everything. There's a sequence builder inside every step, so you don't have to have pre-thought out everything that you want. You can kind of figure it out on the fly, which is really cool. Because you know that's been a pain for me, is you're in the middle of trying to put something together and you find out, oh God, I didn't make that tag, so now I've got to stop and I got to go make that tag and then come back and pick it up. And that's kind of the Infusionsoft way. And they've really, like I said, this is what Infusionsoft wanted to be. And I'm surprised they didn't get there, because they've had many, many years at this. They've had a big, long runway to figure this stuff out. And I remember working with those guys in the very beginning, and I told them, you guys would have an absolute winner here if you would just make some templates. Like make a funnel for a plumber, make one for an electrician, make one for a lawyer, make one for a doctor, and just let people have access to them. And that's kind of what Kartra's done. They've made these basic funnels that you can just fill in the blanks and away you go, and you've got all that automation. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, so yeah.
I'm sorry, John, to jump in real quick on, wanted to add a note about the automation. You left out a really important piece, that one of them is Frank Kern's series.
Oh yeah,
So it's already all set up. I think it's the 4-day. I
it's a
forget what
4-day
it's called.
cash machine.
Yeah, it's already all set up. So all you got to do is plug and play.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I did fail to mention that. Actually, all of the sequences are Frank Kern sequences. He's got the 4-day cash machine. He's got a product launch. He's got, I think there's 4 or 5 of them in there right out of the gate. But really cool, and they work. Frank's 4-day cash machine, that thing's been working for 10 years. And really all it is it's you deciding that you want to sell something that you've already got. And you basically put out the first email and you say, hey, I'm having this special sale and it's going to last for 4 days. And then you send out another one the next day and you say, hey, there's only 3 days left, and then 2 days left, and then the last day. And it works. It's like 4 of them is enough to get them to take action, where one email usually doesn't do it. So it's really a powerful sequence that Frank Kern had developed, many years ago when he did the first version of Mass Control. That was one of his bonuses. And he actually showed you how you could take just that sequence, that 4-day cash machine, and actually build a business around it. Because you could literally walk into any existing business, whether they had a website or not. If they've got an email list, if they've got a customer list, if they've got those, emails of their customers, you could go in and you could offer to run a 4-day cash machine sale for them and take a cut of the profit. And most companies would do that because they're not doing it anyway and they don't know how to do it. So if you went in and you say you walked in the door of a company and you said, hey, what do you guys have in inventory that you'd really like to blow out? Most companies would be able to tell you, oh yeah, I've got 10,000 of these sitting on the shelf. Don't know what to do with them. We're not really selling them anymore. We'd love to get rid of them, at a deep discount. And then you could just tell them, hey, I can run a 4-day cash machine for you. We'll dump the majority, if not all, of that inventory, and I get whatever percent, 10%, 20%, whatever. All you're doing is sending 4 emails. You could wind up making a good chunk of money doing that. I know a lot of people that did do that. They offered that out to all their clients, and a lot of them went for it because, like I said, those customers, those businesses are not doing that stuff. That's why they're sitting on that inventory. They would love it. It would be a spectacular service for you to provide to offer that service to them. That's a high value service. So really cool stuff. And Kartra lets you do that it's a piece of cake. So really cool stuff there. On the marketing side of things, I don't know how many of you have actually had a chance to go through the ACT program, but that really is going to help you guys. It will help you in many different ways. The first way it's going to help you is it's going to give you new goggles to look at business ideas and business opportunities. Because, most of you probably don't have what I have. I have people literally every day dropping opportunities at my feet. And they want me to partner with them on stuff. And I really don't do that kind of stuff, but I give them advice. I will send them in the right direction. I've got plenty of stuff going on my own. I don't really need to partner up with people, and especially at the volume of those offers that I get. But what it gives you the goggles to look at those opportunities at a glance and see if they've got legs and if you would really want to get in on them. So that in itself, if that's all you get out of the ACT program, it's worth 100 times what you paid for it. Just that one thing. Because those ideas and opportunities, sometimes they come from others, but sometimes they just rattle around in your head. And the idea of knowing which ones to go for and which ones to ignore will save you not only a ton of time and money, but it will save you a ton of stress and frustration as well. I use the whole example of, Bloomberg says that entrepreneurs are typically failures at business. They say 80% will fail in 18 months. And they're right, because entrepreneurs are great at coming up with ideas. And a lot of them are good ideas. Some of them are $1 million ideas, $10 million ideas, and on up. But they are not business people. They're not fundamental in business. So the best ideas in the world don't have a chance unless they're built on a solid foundation. So, you know, as far as that failure goes, I love the idea of what Tonny Robin says of, if you're going to fail, fail fast. Because think about, he has another stat that's even more terrifying than the 18 months, having 80% of the entrepreneurs fail at business. He's got a stat of, if you give them 10 years, 96% of them will fail. And he says, if you're going to fail, you want to fail fast. Because imagine what you would feel like if you spent the next 10 years putting in your time, putting in your effort, borrowing money, spending your own money, maybe your savings, depleting your retirement, racking up credit card debt with no ability to pay it. And you get 10 years down the road and you finally throw in the towel. At that point, you're going to not only be broke, but you're going to be broken. And, broke is easy to fix. You can always fix broke. But broken is a little harder for me to deal with. If you guys are broken, I have trouble fixing you at that point. If you're broke, we can always make money. That's not an issue. But that's another thing that ACT will help you do. It will help you eliminate that. It will help you to not chase stuff too far down the path without a real solid chance of success. So, with those two things in mind, ACT is so worth going through. If you don't go through it, it's just kind of, you're just kind of really wasting that opportunity, because those goggles, to be able to look at opportunity and figure out what's real and what's not, is absolutely priceless. And the idea of the changes, and to give you an idea, there's been several people now that have gone through ACT, and they didn't build funnels, but they changed their fundamental business tactics, and they have made a boatload of money from that. I mean, if you look at Chris McLean, he's one of Craig's mastermind group, and he went through ACT. He didn't do the online stuff. His business really operates in the real world, but he changed what he was doing, and he's making more money than he's ever made. He's busier than he's ever been, and he is in a much different position today than he was 2 years ago because of that. Another one, Gary Howarth. He is the same thing. He changed up his business model because of ACT, because of the new goggles that he looks at the world through now. So it's a great thing. You guys really need to go through that. And I'll tell you what it is. The whole ACT process, the whole protocol of ACT, it is the way ad agencies do their marketing. It's the way they do business. And it's the reason why they have a very small percentage of failure. It really is. They've got this procedure, these processes that they go through. They don't just, take an idea and just run with it. They don't operate that way. They vet it. They make sure they run it through a process to make sure that it is got a chance. And more than that, not just a chance, but a high chance, high odds. And they do that, the first thing that they do, and it's very different than the first thing most of us do. We're taught to create an avatar, right? That's usually the first thing that we're taught to do. Well, that's really about the third thing that you do. And if you don't do the other things ahead of that, you're probably going to fail with your avatar. Your avatar is going to be worthless and meaningless. Because unless you're creating your avatar built on top of segmentation, you're out in left field. The first step in ACT is identify the most profitable segment of your market. And that's what the ad agencies do. They look at where's the money. always. That's all they care about is where's the money. If there's enough, we're going to go after it. If there's not, then we're going to move on. You know, it's like a riptide. All you got to do is swim 2 feet to the side and you're out of it. You're in good water. So that's what they're doing. So when you're creating your avatar, it's got to be created out of that segment. That's the most important key thing I can tell you guys, is that if you're not doing that, you're probably swimming upstream. And it's going to be really tough. It'll be really a hard time. And that's a lot of the reason that entrepreneurs fail. They don't know that. You know, they've got great ideas, like I said, and they just chase them, but they're not focused on the right avatar. And for those of you that don't realize why that's so important, why an avatar is so important, it's because avatars are representations of your ideal customer. Now, your ideal customers, they speak a certain language. And I don't care who you are or what you sell or what you do, the people that you do it for and sell it to, they speak a particular language. And unless you're speaking that language, your messaging isn't going to be right. You know, if you look at Glacier Kennedy, you know, they've got the market and the message match. And the only way to do that is to understand who you're talking to and what that language is. And that's the second piece of ACT. The first piece is analysis. It's figuring out who the market really is and what they want. The second piece to it is creation, and that's creating and crafting that message that's going to not only attract them, but create demand and desire for what you do and what you offer. And then the final piece to the puzzle is traffic. Once you figure out that message and you've got that piece right, we know who we're targeting, we drive traffic to that specific group, and that converts. If you guys want conversion, that's the formula for conversion. You've got to understand the market, you've got to get the message right, and you've got to bring that message to the right people. So when you get into traffic, if you don't have those first two things, you're wasting your money. There's no reason for you to be buying ads until you get those first two pieces in place. There's no reason for SEO. There's no reason for any of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, I'm sorry. It's so vital to know this stuff too, because you know, I have my list. I've been doing this for a long time, but I've been so quiet after the tumors and all the stuff that happened, right? The surgeries, that I've lost all relationships with my list. I feel like when I sent out an email and offers, they weren't really responding. So you know, I was working with somebody, and we came up with the idea of a reactivation campaign. And so basically it was just a survey campaign. It was just one question. So everything that I thought of launching here, all these courses and products I want to do, like on AI and beacon technology and all this stuff, you know, is nothing what they want. So my people are coming back to me, telling me exactly where their pain points are or why they haven't been successful with internet marketing. So now I'm able to apply this stuff directly to that, you know, tailor the message directly to them and address their fears.
Yeah, absolutely.
That teaches you how to do.
Have you seen Ryan Levesque's Ask method?
Yeah, I got that software.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's basically asking your existing customers what they want so you can create products for them. And again, that is based on the ad agency model. Ad agencies will actually do focus groups. They will pull physical people into a room that have a common interest, and they'll sit down and they'll grill them, and they'll ask them questions to figure out what products do they need, what is it that would make their life better. And then they will actually create products based on the analysis, where entrepreneurs do it all ass backwards. They get an idea, they create a product and hope that there's someone out there that needs it. You know, and yeah, a lot of people might need it, but is it vetted? Can they afford it? Is there enough of them? Will it, you know, will the size of the market that is actually has the ability to pay and the willingness to pay, is it big enough to support the sales needs to make it a success?
And the worst part is love with their idea. You can't tell, you know, these marketers like, no, there's no ads for it. There's no Google ads. Nobody else has launched a product like this. Have you even researched? And no, I know people want this. I know people want this. It's so hard to convince them otherwise.
Yeah, I get that all the time. And that's the thing. Entrepreneurs, just by nature, they have a massive ego. So you can't tell them anything. And, it's so unfortunate because I love to help people. And a lot of those people that are real high up on the entrepreneur scale, I can't help them. They will not listen. They don't want the help. They think they're above it. And, look at Bloomberg. 80% of them fail in 18 months. And given 10 years, 96%. That's horrific. Absolutely horrific. Go ahead, Eldana.
Good question. So I just sent you an email because I didn't get the login for the ACT programs.
Oh, okay. I'll get that off.
So, like we had talked about my disconnect of driving people to my negotiation stuff. This would probably help me also as I'm figuring out where to go with this beads business that I'm doing with these women in Kenya. That's probably not going to be, it's word of mouth when I go around and speak and show these beads, but I envision it at some point going into stores and I have no clue about any of that. Will that also help me figure that dealie out too?
Yes, absolutely. Because what you might find that your ideal client is not the end consumer. You might find that your ideal client is some kind of a wholesaler or, a distributor. And a lot of times, like when you've got an item where you don't have to make it yourself and you're just, in the middle passing it through, those are really the kind of deals that can make you a lot of money with minimal effort.
Yeah. Some of it's the story, I want to be involved to some extent because of my connection to those women over there.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what that looks like yet. I'm looking at places like Whole Foods because they have baskets from Africa. I've been just looking around to see what people have. Like Francesca's is a big chain in the malls that get beads from other countries. And I'm like, I'll have somebody over there in Kenya, boots on the ground person working it with the ladies. But I envision myself being involved because of the story with it, and that being the thing that pushes it. But maybe that'll change once I kind of figure that out. But yeah, because you don't want to spend your entire life being a salesperson for these beads to help these women. Right.
You want to help them, but there's only there's a certain amount of your life you're willing to give up for it. Yeah.
I envision somebody else taking the lead on that, but
sure.
I think media-wise and with my speaking and stuff, and that I need to be like the face of that for in the U.S. or wherever it goes because of the connection with the women and what I'm doing to help them get out of poverty with this. I'm going to. You might have some suggestions of what I'm going over there again, leaving the end of June, and I plan on doing videos and getting some of their story and taking photos and getting how they make the beads because they're all made by hand. I don't know if you have any suggestions of things that I might focus on getting footage-wise. I didn't think about that before because when I came up with the idea, I'm like, I'll just sell a few of them with my books when I speak. And it's kind of like I've been selling hundreds of them.
Yeah. Well, where you're at with that is when you start creating the videos and all that stuff and creating the marketing, before you've really identified your target, again, you're kind of out of sequence. To answer the true question of, what should you be filming and what should you be talking about, that's going to depend on who we're trying to sell it to. So if we're going after, charitable groups, we need to find the ones that it's important, children are important to them. And if that's the case, you want to show in the video how this has helped children, so they want to get in and they want to support that. And they might have an organization that has 50,000 people donating to it on a regular basis, and they can piggyback your deal on top of that. and show your videos and say, look, for a few bucks more a month, you could support this effort too. That's
Okay.
that's the kind of stuff. When you figure that out, that's your message. So you can only really get that right is if you've identified the market first.
Yeah.
So it's all about that language. Everybody, like I said, everybody has a language, and it's like, what's important to them? You know,
Right.
why would it matter to them? And when you get that, I can't even tell you the magic that happens. It's like you're whispering in their ear exactly what they want to hear. And then it all becomes easy. When you're out of sequence and you don't know what to whisper in their ear, you're probably either saying stuff that's meaningless or it's offensive.
Yeah, which based on results with my negotiation stuff in the entrepreneur space, it hasn't worked because like we talked about, that word or whatever I'm thinking, what I've been doing is putting people off.
Yeah. Well, like I said, negotiation just by its nature is confrontational. And a lot of the people that you're talking to, confrontation is not their favorite thing.
Right.
It's repulsive to them. You know, like me, confrontation's the last thing I want to do. But getting a good deal, I'm all about that. So if you can show me and just take that word out of it, take negotiation off the table, because that's not what I want to hear. And that's the whole thing about doing that market research and figuring out who your real ideal target is, and then what their language is. What are the words that's important to them? A really cool thing, I haven't tied this into the ACT training, but this is something I found over the last few months watching some really, really good marketers and their change of the keyword research and how they're figuring out what's important to people. What they'll do is they'll find a competitor and they'll go out and they'll find any reviews about that competitor. And what they do, they separate the reviews from good reviews and bad reviews. And they'll take the text from all the good reviews and they put it all together in one big document. And they take the same thing with all the negative reviews and they compile it into one big document. And then they sort it by word. And it's like keyword density. They see which words show up more. And all of a sudden you'll see the difference in the words of what those clients liked versus what they didn't like. And you stay away from the ones that they didn't like, or you use it to your advantage. You use them in a contrast of, if this is you, this is not right for you. And you use all those negative words that they don't like in a contrast to show them that you are perfect for them. So that's another way to do that analysis that I thought was really, really sharp. And I've never seen ad agencies do that, but I've seen some marketers that are adapting to, the new algorithm changes and all the stuff that's going on in SEO, because Google is gearing everything toward user experience, and it's the same thing. It's figuring out what people actually like and rewarding them for it. If you've got a website that's getting positive reaction, Google sees that and they're rewarding that. That is like becoming the whole new SEO, is getting your message right. So this stuff is even more important than it ever was at this point. Because if you want that free search traffic, all you really have to do at this point is create content that speaks to your market, that they love it, they consume it, they keep coming back for more of it. Google sees that and they're going to reward you for it. And you know what? It's just the right thing to do. If you're doing stuff outside there, I think you're probably just spinning your wheels. And that's what a lot of us do, myself included. I've spun my wheels who knows how many times doing that very thing, creating content before I knew who it was for.
What a nice man.
anyway, hopefully that that helped in some way. You know, as far as I don't feel like I gave you a true definitive answer, other than the fact that you've got to base your creation on that market and what's important to them.
Yeah, yeah, and like this is very grassroots. I mean, I didn't expect to get in the bead business, and
Yeah, exactly.
it sort of turned out that I'm in the bead business, but it's easy to sell them when I speak because the story ties right into the ask for exactly what I want portion of Think Like a Negotiator, because I had to ask people for for donations, which I'm doing again to go to Kenya, and that's that big ask that people are always scared of, even the Think Like a Negotiator person. So it tied right into it. Had I not asked, I wouldn't be helping these women eradicate poverty in their life. So the story's great, and people like the last time, the first time I kind of had all the pictures in there was a couple of weeks ago, and just I go out to my table and I look up and there's all these people, beads, I want beads. And I sell a book and a bead for $40, $20 goes back to the women, and $20 for my book. I sold out of my books. I had to ship 10 books.
Well, you might find that this is a complementary thing to what you already wanted to do anyway, which it might help you sell that just through the story.
Yeah, but I do see them, like, and it's something that I won't handle, but I do need to look deeper and see who else the market is, because I see them kind of going more than just me. I mean, people can get them from me. I've got them in like 3 shops in Orange County, 2 in Claremont, 1 in Orange County. There's some other shops that they see me wear this stuff. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Hey, I can help you with that.
But it was really cool. I didn't know what it was until somebody was wearing one at the last mastermind, and I was looking. I'm like, that looks really cool. And then they showed me it was like made out of those magazines where the colors were the part of the magazine. I'm like, that's really awesome.
Yeah, so you probably can't see on the camera, but they're hand wound, like they're all hand done.
It's like sheets of paper out of a magazine, and the colors make the color of the beads. It's really cool.
And I think they probably paint some of them. I have a video on them, like hand cutting them and hand rolling them, and
it's a great story.
Yeah, and they live in a slum, and my goal is to it's driving stuff. I expect, I need to probably go, like you said, go back and figure out which way this is going to go, or who, what, where. But I see, I'm thinking of media and getting an attraction to the story that'll then,
because
I want to do that right.
That will all bleed over into what you're doing yourself. Right.
Yeah, I fully expect that, more speaking engagements will come off of that. And everybody, every time I have a Toastmaster speaking engagement in July, and they're like, bring the beads. I'm like, I'm bringing the beads.
Well, who you should be looking for, and hopefully this will be helpful, but this is really the first key cornerstone piece of the ACT program, is finding the most profitable segment of the market. So what you should be looking for, who you should be looking for, your most profitable segment is going to be somebody that's going to move a lot of these things. So
right.
I think, and this isn't based off any actual analysis, this is just what I'm thinking, where I would start looking and start turning the rocks over, is I would start looking for organizations that help children. I would look for distributors of products that are in that world. Those are the 2 I would start hunting down.
Children versus women.
Well, you might go either way, and I think a lot of people will gravitate to spending more money on children than women. I mean, that's just a thought. Right. I have nothing to back that up. It's just a thought. I think children probably pull at more heartstrings, just in general. It's like puppies.
Right. Yeah, and that the whole story starts with me this woman in the slum giving me one of those necklaces and asking me to pray for her son to get money to go to school. And she was holding her son, one of
Yeah.
6 kids.
Well, see, even there, it goes back to the children.
Yeah.
It all, I believe it's all going to funnel back to the children. I think that's going to be the core. That's going to be the core of the heartstrings that you're going to pull on.
Yeah.
So, and especially women's organizations that, are there to help women, but ultimately it's to pass that flow through to the children, because the women are typically seen, I think, as the providers for the children, the protectors. And
yeah, and a lot of these women are prostituting themselves to make money. And it's like, do I send my kid to school because it's not free over there? Do I feed my kids? Do I get medical care? Which one of these do I do? Oh, I can only choose one. So, this my dream is to help them to build a sustainable business to where first thing they can do is eradicate the prostitution and then go from there.
I mean, in the reality of the situation, the money will probably go to the women, but it will ultimately be for their children to have a better life.
Right.
So the marketing message is going to be geared toward, I think you're going to find more people that are more apt to get behind something if it's children related, to help the children.
Yeah.
So that's where I would start looking. That's where I would start my research to figure out who are those people. I mean, you're literally like hunting.
Right.
You're hunting and you need to figure out which animal are we after. Because if we know what they are and we know what they look like and what they eat and all that, we know what watering hole they're hanging out at.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the whole avatar thing. And you can probably see by now, you could know, there's no way you could ever create the right avatar without knowing that base knowledge. And nobody talks about that. Nobody teaches that. They just tell you, hey, create your avatar. Everything will be great. But they don't teach you the what you're doing or how you're doing it or why you're doing it. I found that in school, if the teacher didn't tell me why I was learning something, I didn't learn it. I had a great woodshop teacher that, I didn't see any reason whatsoever in English or math. All I wanted to do was build stuff.
Right.
And he was the one and only of all the teachers that actually showed me the importance of English and math. And it related back to, he used the ACT program on me before I even knew about it. He figured out what was important to me, and he spoke to me in those terms, and I got it. But if he hadn't done that, I would have just completely blown off English and math growing up. But instead, I realized how important that was to my future and what I really wanted out of life. And at that point, they became meaningful, and I got it. So that's really the whole thing, is figuring out what that language is. That's how you affect people with marketing. It's like one of the famous lines is you sell to the heart, but then you have to convince the head.
Right.
So we seduce the heart and convince the head, and then that leads to a sale. Because it's the heart that wants things. The heart is like our subconscious, and it's where all our wants and desires live. But the job of the head is to protect the heart. So the head says no. The head is the first thing to say no. It's the thing that comes up with all the objections. It says, no, I'm here to protect the heart, and I think you're going to break it. I don't think you're going to deliver on your promise. So the whole purpose of marketing is get the message, seduce the heart, get the heart to desire and want, and then convince the head by removing all the objections. And that's it. I mean, if you can create your marketing message that will do that, then you've got an automated way to make sales online leveraging the internet. So sounds really easy, but it's not. The concept is really simplistic, and everybody gets it. When they hear me explain it, they get it. But then we got to get down to the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts to make that happen. And that's where the work comes in. And that's where, I spent a couple of years now detailing out all the steps to actually make that happen and putting that into the program. So now I just have to convince you guys to actually take those steps and do it.
Hey, I'm a good student.
Awesome. Well, I will get you access. I'll send you an email, and we'll get you in there and get you access to the program so you can start checking it out. And definitely stay on here. Keep on these calls, because wherever you're at, if you're just getting started or whatever, this call here is to help you. It's to help you move forward. So, and I don't really care if you've been through the program or not. Just come in here and tell me where you're stuck, and I'll see if I can advance you.
Yeah, I'm speaking a bunch the next month, but then I'll be in Kenya, but I see if I can work it.
Well, even if you have questions, and let's say you've got stuff going on. I know we all can't make every call, but if you are stuck, like let's say you're on something during the week and you need help, don't be afraid to send me an email, because what I'll do, I'll talk about it on the call, and then you can just watch the replay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. So, I try and make it as easy as possible that everybody gets the help they need, no matter what the situation. So just shoot me that, and I'm happy to address it. And never, ever think that you got a bad question or the wrong question, because that just doesn't exist. If I know the answer, I'm happy to share, and if I don't, I might know who does, and I'm happy to share that as well. So, all right. Anybody else before we wrap up for today?
Yeah, this is Greg. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Gregory.
Okay. Back to the GDPR thing.
Uh-huh.
My intention is to direct people to the Internet Dominator, to get them introduced to you and to your services. Will there be a GDPR link, or what is GDPR on the landing page? Because that's going to be my hook. My hook's going to be, you know about what's coming, what's happening, and are you ready for it? Click here for further details.
Well, what you might want to do, if you sign up with the FTC Guardian, you will become an affiliate of them, and then what you can do, you can pass them right through to one of the webinars that they're doing. Because see, I can't really speak too much to it, because I'm not an attorney, so I can't really give legal advice and all that kind of stuff. I can basically tell you, what I've learned from them and what action steps that you can do and all that. But as far as like supplying the legal documents and all that stuff, and really speaking to the legal aspects of it, I've been passing everybody right through my affiliate link over to the FTC Guardian. And just by doing that over the last, week or so, I've probably made a couple $1,000s in affiliate commissions. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Anybody that is in your audience, you bringing the information to them, that's how you get rewarded. Send them through to a credible source that can actually help people. And that's how affiliate marketing works. For any of you guys that have lists and you communicate with people, what you should be doing is you should be looking for the opportunities that exist where you can help the people on your list by providing them the things that you don't offer, and do it through an affiliate link.
Can I jump in really quick? I'm not an attorney either, but just really quick, in a nutshell, the way I understand it is marketers and others, because of this European Union 28-member country union, basically, from what I understand, it's consumers forcing retailers and marketers to explicitly tell consumers in the European Union's 28 member country how they are collecting, using, and storing consumers' personal data. So this applies, like for me, a lot of my local business, local plumbers and chiropractors and what have you, they're not affected because they're not going to go on a call to Europe. I mean, they're serving Chino Hills and Diamond Bar, what have you. This technically doesn't affect them because it's for people more so that are like e-commerce businesses that have the chance of selling a product to somebody in Europe. Am I confused or mistaken? Again, I know we're not attorneys here, but that's kind of how I'm understanding.
Well, that's how I originally understood it too, until I listened in on one of Chip's webinars, and that's really not the case. Anybody that could go onto your site, unless you exclude your site from the EU, and even then, there's a chance that somebody could get through because websites are public facing. So basically, if you're public facing, there is an exclusion where you can physically say on the site that you do not serve the EU, and you can exclude them that way. But you've got to have those things in place, even so, to protect yourself. Even though and it's really ridiculous. I mean, I'm with you, Mark. I think that should be right. If you serve local businesses, you've got no business being entangled in this, and I'm absolutely on board with that. But as far as the way it actually plays out, I don't think that will hold up. I think you've got to take steps to protect yourself. I actually, when I sent my email out, I've got quite a few people in the EU that are on my list. And they were kind of upset with the way I even, put this out, because I'm putting the information out in the way I'm collecting it, and it's from us here in the US. It's our perspective. The EU guys were kind of offended by that, and they said it wasn't true. And I said, well, I would love to hear the truth, from your side. So they actually sent me some documentation from, the reality from their side of the pond, and what's really going to go on, and the real reason behind it, and all that stuff. And it's very different. It's like, when I put on there the minimum penalty, they said that's not the minimum penalty, that's the maximum penalty. So, the world over here, the internet marketing world or whatever, they've twisted the facts, to their benefit, to create fear and shock and sense of urgency. The other thing too, they said, was they're not going to come right out of the gate and be going after people. They're going to give, a very lenient grace period to get in compliance. They're not like on the 25th, they're not going to bring out the data police and start slapping people's wrists. It's just the date that this is all going to start into transition. And so it was much gentler. What I read that came from the actual EU was much gentler, much kinder. The only recommendation that they said is that by that date, you show that you are being proactive in trying to make a positive move toward compliancy. So if you've got that, and that goes a long way, and in showing you're a good guy. But yeah, and again, I have no idea really how to back any of that up, because I'm not an attorney. I don't really know the true ramifications of any of this, and and all that. We'll have to see. I mean, I know the FTC. I've seen what they've done, and they are really nasty. What I don't know is I don't know the reach of what the EU regulations. I don't know what their reach is going to be, of how they could really go after us here in the US. I do know that the FTC's reach does go outside the US, and they have gone after people and gotten them outside the US. So it is possible.
Look, they just had a Zuckerberg in there. What was it, this week, last week, talking about what happened with was it data analytics or what have you, the scandal with that company that took 50 million users' data and ended up using it for putting out the fake news campaigns.
Yeah. But this, the whole thing, I've been saying it for years, actually since 2006 when Google started collecting user data, that I really believe that the only way they could legitimately do that is if they had a get out of jail free card. They had some sort of, a legal access to do that with the government. And I know a lot of people, they rained on me, said I was a conspiracy theorist and all that stuff. But it actually came through that, I was right. They were doing stuff and they were getting permission to do it from the government in the name of national security. And when the EU found out about that, I believe it was 2013, Snowden spilled the beans. They were outraged from that, and that's why we are where we're at now. Is they're pretty much demanding that their privacy is respected and that we have violated their human rights. That's why we are where we're at.
If you were Merkel, you'd be upset too if you found out that your phone was being tapped and your conversations were being recorded. And she's the chancellor of Germany, like the president of Germany. I'd be kind of ticked off too.
Yeah. So it's it's not fun for any of us. What we're gonna we're all gonna wind up paying the price for this. It's gonna be a real pain in the butt, but hey, it's just part of life. It's part of
John, it's like mafia, the mafia family wars. It happens every, so many years, right? The first time it happened, if I'm not mistaken, is when Frank Kern got in trouble, right? With instant internet millions.
Yeah.
And then the second time it happened is when Perry Belcher got in trouble, right? This was those were the big waves, the sonic booms that we felt in internet marketing when we thought, oh crap, we better get our stuff together.
I was shocked that Armin Marin didn't get hit. I mean, God, that guy, I've listened to him speak live, and I swear to God, if there was anyone from the FTC in the room, he would get handcuffed.
There's a lot of people that I'm shocked they're still in business today.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many con artists and rip-off artists. It's just scary.
I mean, I won't mention names, but I've seen the contracts, I've seen the checks, the cash checks. I've seen so much evidence that involves people with hundreds of thousands of dollars, these people being ripped off by certain people out there. And, there's cases ongoing, and these people are still out there speaking on all these stages and making so much money. And it's like, it proves the point that if you have enough money, you can buy your way out of almost anything.
Yeah. I mean, when I went to one of the first big seminars that Armin put on, and during one of the breaks, I was talking to him and I said, hey, would you be interested in having me speak, next year about cloaking? And I said, because it works really good. I mean, this was back, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. And he said, oh, hell no. And I thought his reaction was because it was Black Hat. He didn't want to expose his audience to that. And I asked him, I said, is that
his stuff?
I said, is that the reason? And he said, no. He goes, that's what we do, and it works too good. I'm not going to share it with these people. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're a real nice guy. So
he was always a all about himself type of jerk.
Yeah. So at that point, I realized all he's selling people is the crap that's left over that no longer works, and I have no room for that kind of people.
I remember folks telling me how they'd be in an elevator with him and asking, hey, Armin, I want to get on your stage. And he'd tell them, how much are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
He demanded a certain amount of money for people to get on his. And on top of that, they better guarantee that they can close because he wanted his 50% of the back of the room sales.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. All right. Well, anything else? Anybody got anything else before we wrap up for today? All right, guys. Well, we got a holiday weekend coming up, so everybody have a great time, whatever you're doing. And
hey, real quick, John, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got the girls in. I negotiated a contract for them. They'll be performing at the Anaheim Convention Center on August 19th. They have a 20-minute set at the Bombs Super Show. That's all cars 1954 and under. They're going to have about 600, Bomb classic vintage cars there, and they're going to have a 20-minute set performing. That's going to be the biggest show yet. They got about 5,000 to 6,000 people attending.
Yeah, I'd love to get out and see that. They're awesome.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. And the cars are beautiful, too.
Yeah, well, cool. All right, guys. Well, have a great holiday weekend, and we will be back on next week, regular time. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys can't make the call and you've got something that you're stuck on, go ahead and shoot me an email. Just let me know where you're at, and then I'll address it on the call, and you can watch the replay.
And don't forget that Kartra trial is, what is it, John, $1 for 2 weeks?
What's that?
The Kartra trial is, I think, $1 for 2 weeks. You get to try it for 2 weeks for $1, and that way everybody can check it out.
Yeah, exactly. So internetdominators.com/Kartra with a K, Kartra. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week.